it's so easy for me to just leave, even though I'm here. That's what I'm trying to do in the world. And I can't even do it when I'm here.
Thank you. But you made that effort. I really salute you for that. Wow. Yes, and I think, you know, that it's such a subtle thing that you're bringing up, that we can be here but be leaving all the time. It's almost a moment-to-moment thing, that I wake up 5 minutes later and it's later. But what happened in the intervening time? To really be awake is to be here, be here, be here, be here. It's a decision moment to moment to moment. And then life really blossoms. Because when I'm here, something new can happen. If I'm not here, nothing new can happen. If I'm living yesterday, nothing new can happen. Because, and we all do this. We live the same day over and over again. What was the name of that movie? Groundhog Day. He wakes up, the same song, the same things happen. You know? Well, we don't want to live a repetitive life, but we do have this inclination to escape. And what is that about? I mean, I know for me, it is fear. It's fear. I'm afraid. Afraid what? Afraid I'll be hurt. If I'm vulnerable, I'll be embarrassed. I'll realize that I feel shame. I can't handle the shame or somebody seeing that I'm ashamed. I'm out of here, whatever it is. And I know my early life because, for example, my father left our family out of that alcoholic cloud that engulfed our family, and I realized later that a lot of my young life was impelled by shame, because other kids had fathers and I didn't. And Leave It to Beaver had a father. I mean, why can't my life be like that? But I never told anybody those feelings. So I think part of making the decision to stay, it needs to include the wisdom to know where I want to put myself. As I was recovering from that childhood, I realized I had to make smarter decisions about who my friends are. I had to make smarter decisions about where I put myself. I have to put myself in places where I feel safe enough to stay, to be present. And the more I can do that, my strength, my spiritual strength, psychological strength increases, and I become more resilient. I can then be in some places that look dangerous, but I'm okay. I can be with people who look like they're judging me or hating me, and I can stay, rather than escape, which I would have done in the past, because fear was running my life. So I'm just very grateful that you said this. Thank you.
I just want to say one thing, that wonderful Buddhist master, Thich Nhat Hanh, who says, the miracle is not to walk on water, the miracle is to walk on land. You have walked on land, you have performed a miracle. Margaret was telling us about the poet which I keep forgetting, by Rumi. Some of you might know it. Wanderer, worshipper, lover of leaving, even if you have broken your vows 100 times or 1,000 times. What is it? Come and come again.
Of joy.
Huh?
Join the caravan.
Come and come again, because ours is a caravan of joy. That's who he is.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for what you shared about bringing. This is such a challenging time. Living here, anywhere in the world today. I was going to say in Amherst, a center of activism, wonderful mind, and with terrible social injustice, terrible violence in every direction, and activism trying to restore some justice, economic and just plain survival. And of course the anger that sometimes, understandably, and maybe necessarily, fuels the activism.
Right. Thank you so much. The spiritual life never ends as long as we're walking on this land. It never ends. So every moment coming back, returning. I get disappointed, I get caught in anger, I get caught in shame or whatever. Come on back, just keep coming back, just keep coming back, just keep coming back, just keep coming back.
To what?
To the love you mentioned, to the heart of love. Just keep coming back. It's never a done deal. Like even my experience that I described, with cancer treatment. So I can say burn away all that is not love, and then I get pissed off at somebody the next minute. It's just you just keep walking into it. Whatever your deepest intention is, keep walking into that presence, because that presence does not disappear. You disappear from it, but the presence of love and the dance of love never goes away. It's eternal.
Yeah, you see, this is where the need for spiritual practices becomes so critical. There'll be anger, there'll be burnout, there'll be despair. Rumi says, we're like fish out of water, thrashing and quivering on the banks. So from time to time, we need to dive in those oceans of silence to become nourished, to become nurtured. So a practice of just simple silence as an example. But I love what you said about anger, you see. This is a very important topic. Anger is very fiery and can really motivate us to take action, to dissolve all those veils of indifference and apathy. However, it can also get out of control if you don't use spiritual practices to connect with that anger. Again, the sages talk about it, that there is something called the truth trap. I'm so angry that somebody is violating the truth. Somebody commits an act of injustice, does something terrible, and the fires of hell rise up within me, anger comes up within me, and I call this the defense of truth, the defense of justice. But Jamal, you don't notice your own arrogant soul. And so what this means is that if I don't do spiritual practices to embrace my anger with compassion and integrate it within me, then in fighting injustice, I might myself become unjust. In fighting extremism, I might myself become extreme. So all those practices, in Sufism there's a practice called sacred holding. You feel angry? That's beautiful. It's sacred. Honor that feeling. And where do you feel it in your body? Just be present with it. Hold it like you hold a loved one. Breathe through it. It's a number of steps you do that. But then what happens is that which was a source of such irritation and drainage, now it becomes a source, because it has been embraced, it becomes a source of vitality. That's why Rumi says, the dark thought, the shame, the malice, greet them at the door laughing, because each one has been sent as a guide from beyond. It's not that you run towards anger and pain and suffering because it has lessons to teach you, just don't run away from it when it happens. So this is something which we, in our community, we do a lot. We say whenever there's anger that's beautiful, every feeling is sacred. If it has an edge, it's because it is separated from us. Like Carl Jung said, can you for once in your life have the grace and the courage to kiss the demons and dragons within you? That's how they become a prince or princess. So can I use some technique to honor that feeling? It is sacred. It is begging my attention, and bring it into me, integrate it with me, with mercy, with love, as you mentioned. Then it becomes a source of strength. But thank you for sharing your honest understanding of anger.
Thank you. Paul.
Yeah, I kind of had an image of that recently when a family was visiting us, and we all know about timeout. With it, little children, you give them timeout, they're upset, but they have an alternative. They give their child the option of timeout or time in. Time in means they're upset. They come in rest in the mom or dad's arms and snuggle up against them until the anger and the anxiety and things calm. And it seems like that kind of taking and resting in love.
It's beautiful. That's nice. And that image, in our Christian tradition is here. The return of the prodigal son. And this is they're both us, and we're welcoming the returning one who is angry and full of malice and has really screwed up, and and just welcoming. And one thing, this was Henry Nouwen's his favorite icon. He wrote a book called The Return of the Prodigal Son, and he noticed that what he writes about is how the hands are feminine and masculine, and it's God is male and female and beyond, the divine feminine and masculine, embracing the one who is returning. There's always this returning to accepting whatever. I love you. I love you. I love you no matter what. That's the unconditional. We have this phrase we've talked about, I see you, I know you, I understand, and I love you. And I feel that we all long to have this experience, that we long to be seen and known and loved without any part of ourselves being rejected. And once we accept our anger and the good feelings too, they're integrated in this mutuality of love. Yeah.
I love that time in. That's
Yeah,
that's
very nice.
lovely with it, yes. There's a wonderful quotation, again by Rumi, who says, have you not noticed that fruits never grow on the trunk of trees? They always grow on the branches. Why? He says, because they need to quiver and tremble in the breeze to receive the blush of the beloved. So the anger, the pain, the sadness, if I'm able to just be with that, with compassion, with mercy, then the light grows in me. Do you know this wonderful scientist named Gary Zukav? He's a Harvard scientist. He wrote this book called The Seat of the Soul. It became a famous book because he's such a famous Harvard scientist. But he spoke about things which, if I had written or you had written, maybe nobody had paid any attention to. He talked about invisible beings and light. So he says, actually, if you feel anger, if you feel despair, if you feel a feeling which you call negative, but in spite of that, you do what is right. You make the choice, you make the exertion of doing, and what is right is subjective. You take the right step. Then he says, let me tell you as a scientist what happens. The light grows in you. The light grows in you. Because in spite of that difficult feeling, you've made the strong moral choice. Something shifts. But he says the light grows in you. But I want to repeat, that doesn't mean run towards those difficult feelings. Just don't run away from them when they happen.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
One of the things I took from your sharing about connecting with the evangelicals in your
Yes.
community was the grace of your patience and your attention span. I think too often we surround ourselves with people who think the way we do, or we run from people we have conflict with, or we have this futile hope that, half-hour conversation and I'll convert them to thinking as I do.
Yes.
And there's something in the idea of holding a space so large and with such grace that they didn't feel like they needed to step back from you, that you created room for coming together. And I'm inspired by it and reflecting on when have I had that kind of tenacity, that kind of holding with grace. And I'm somebody who's more likely to surround myself with people who think as I do, so I don't come up against it. But how do we change the world when we just insulate ourselves with people who think as we do?
But you strike me as someone who's very compassionate and kind. So I can see you developing what the great teachers call that inner spaciousness. To have that inner spaciousness, which comes from time and from patience to be able to enfold something which is difficult. So it wasn't easy, as you have mentioned, but the goal again was that I kept reminding myself, my goal is not to have him like Muslims or become converted in that sense that we are harmless people. My goal really was, can I truly as a human being connect to him as a human being? And simply that much. So I have so I have to remind myself I have no secret agenda. And that was not easy, but that was very essential again and again.
sounds like that would be a spiritual practice in itself to keep coming back to your intention.
Yes, that's right, yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm thinking that that's be a good time to take a break.
Yes.
It's been a really rich discussion, and to let things kind of circulate in our souls about what's been said, not to try to figure it out. It's not figure outable. But something happens to us when we listen with the vulnerable heart to sharing like this. So just, let that cook a little bit. And I'm wondering if, Charlie, can you lead us out to the break with this thing that we practice right now? Charlie walked in with his guitar, and I thought something could happen here. I'd love to. Then we'll take a break.
This is my spiritual practice, which is called kirtan. And it is music with mantra. And it's a spiritual practice in that the music moves along and it allows you to sing the mantra over and over and over again. In Sanskrit, the oldest language on the planet, it's said that it was given to the rishis as a language to speak with God or to speak with the One. And in Sanskrit, Om Namah Shivaya is a simple mantra. Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva. I honor all that I can become is one of the many translations. So I'll sing Om Namah Shivaya and you'll sing it back. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Om Namah Shivaya.